So we'll be delving further into Craig Richardson's story, his life after the four season point. Sit back, enjoy the show.
And I know, like, when we all got back to squadron, I mean, I don't think I was one of them, but I know people were talking about leaving or didn't want to be there anymore and stuff. So I definitely understood that one, because some of the guys we were on tour with had done tours before. So, that wasn't their first tour, whereas it was our first tour. So after that, just get back to the squadron, just get ready for the next one, really. That was it. I wouldn't say we forgot about the lads. I think there was definitely well remembered in a good way. But, unfortunately, sort of just you do have to just keep going, to sort of get up and then look to the next thing that you got to get ready for, really.
Yeah, so obviously, like you said before, it is the job, it is expected. But when we did return from Basra after getting back on squadron, we were quickly told that we'd have a quick turnaround to get to Kandahar. Were you prepared? Were you ready for that, or did you think we could maybe do it a little bit longer here?
Yeah, probably. I mean, we could all done with a bit more time, but in the same breath, that it probably helped a little bit that you didn't sit around and think about the stuff that had happened. You're like, right, we're getting on to the next one. You go into all your briefings, your training, you go away, you do this, do that. So you're busy again. It's like going back to similar to that basics, where you have that sort of daily schedule and you get ready for the tour, and then it kind of helps move time through and stops you from sort of thinking about things too much. But
yeah. I mean, when I was told, I was like, oh, for fuck's sake.
Yeah. I mean, obviously, after what happened, you're like, all right, I'm just going to keep my head down. I just, just save some money. Just, you know what I mean? Just keep your head down. You don't want anything to happen on the next tour. And obviously, that didn't quite work out as we planned either. So,
yeah. So, like I say, we had that quick turnaround. What was your preparation like for that? How did your role evolve in them 11 months?
Yeah, actually. So you mean it between tours?
Yeah.
Yeah. So for me, again, obviously we had a few. I don't know, we had a couple of new lads come onto the squadron. So again, you're not really looked at as the sprog then. You know what I mean? You've got a tour under your belt, and it's a little bit easier, so to speak. You know what I mean? You're not the sprog in that. But I enjoyed sort of getting ready and going back out again, and there was like a little shift around in our flight again. We lost a couple of lads to some things, but who got not medical discharge, who got discharged before. We talked about that before anyway. But so there was a little shuffle around in the pack sort of thing. So I sort of saw myself as like a acting corporal sort of role, like on the Wimmick. I'd done like the guns carder, so I was machine gun trained. I loved it. I think we had our flight officer was ex-Marine. He ended up coming to the regiment because he wanted to get commissioned. And he couldn't get it through the Marines. So anyway, he had these connections down with the Marines still, and we ended up going down there and doing the guns carder. Me, Brownie, Jim Davis, and there was someone else. I can't remember who. But anyway, we went down, done the guns carder. So like I saw myself now as a machine gunner trained, which was good. And before I went out, I ended up sort of taking the acting corporal role out onto the section, ready for Afghan. So that was good. It was nice. It was nice to sort of have that recognition again. And not official, because obviously I didn't do all the Carter stuff that had to be done before it. But it was nice to sort of have that role going out to Afghan.
So just elaborate a little bit on the role. What kind of duties did that entail?
Just being the vehicle commander, really. Just sort of, sit in the passenger seat, have the GPMG, obviously the commanding that sort of detail, really. So with the machine guns, if we were in a vehicle point, even my decision to take off and go to different places to give like an overwatch, different patrols and stuff. So it was like that, really. It was good. Like I say, it was fun.
Just growth in the role, general progression, the next step. The next step, basically.
Exactly. It sucked carrying all the, doing that carder and that, carrying the rounds. And I remember just trying to get rid of the rounds. In the nighttime shoots and stuff, you have like hundreds of rounds of ammo, just like, you're not even just holding it down just to get rid of it, just so you didn't have to carry it back. But it was fun. It was good. And the 50 cal. I mean, what machine that thing was. That and the GMG was just that was just fun, man. That was just like you're getting paid for this. You know, it was fun.
Yeah, yeah. That is one of the highlights of my time. Doing that. It was special. I mean, it's like big kid kind of thing, isn't it? Obviously with a lot of
Yeah.
responsibility, but I mean the power of that 50 cal. Yeah,
I think it
wow.
was ridiculous. Loved
Yeah,
it. It was fun. It was very fun. Fun, like I said, fun carder to do. It was fun. It was a beast, absolute beast. Like changing barrels on the thing and that, and just the
yeah,
rounds and that. It was good though. It was a fun time.
yeah. Good learning curve. So, arriving in Kandahar, then, what struck you as different from Basra? For me, it was a lot more rural. I don't know if you felt similar.
Yeah, I definitely agree. I think Woody touched on it. You guys, sort of mentioned it in previous episodes, but it was different, just different. Yeah, a bit more rural. We saw like a few more like the mountains and stuff, and it wasn't sort of as deserty. It sounds a bit sort of. It wasn't as flat and as deserty. And again, I just we got over there. Just personally, I just wanted to keep my head down and just get through the tour with no dramas, no nothing. And but there was like a TV show following us around as well, and then like some
There
sort of
was there was a Channel
documentary. I can't
Five.
remember.
Yeah, there was we had a few visitors, didn't we? There was a Channel Five documentary which went out. I think I'm in it for like a second in one of the episodes.
I don't think I made it.
Yeah, I think. Do you know? Have you heard of a TV presenter called Connie Hook? I think she was Blue Peter.
I
Yeah,
might know the
she
face.
came over. Yeah, she came over. That was when I was actually put on your flight. She came over to record something. I think we had a bunch of page three girls as well at one point, and
Was
we also had
was I there
nuts
for
as
that?
well. I'm not sure. No, again, I think I
Yeah,
was put on B flight at that point, and then
yeah.
we also had Nuts come over to do a big article on us, and I made that. I mean, I've still got the copy.
That's funny. That's hilarious.
Yeah,
I was home by then, probably right. I tour dodged
yeah,
that
yeah.
by then.
I think so. Yeah, I think so. I mean, it wasn't much of a perk, but it kind of took you away from the environment briefly, but it made you feel a little bit different for a little while. So it was a welcome change. So
Yeah.
anyway, let's talk about over there. What would your typical day be like, or what was the rotation like for you outside of the wire?
Yeah, again, I mean, I was only there for I think it was only a couple of months. I was just short of like 2 months before I got injured. But again, it's similar rotations to like to Iraq. You have your QRF, you have like I can't remember what the actual rotations were, mate. I don't know.
Tesserals
That's
was
it. Yeah, yeah.
Tesserals one.
That's what it's called. I couldn't think of what it's
Yeah,
called. That's it.
yeah, we had QRF. I think there was just uh, general patrols and stuff like that, weren't there? So
Yeah.
yeah,
And
it's
again, I don't remember too much of my time from there. But like I said, I was only there for a couple of months before, and again, the threat over there, I think the threat was high of IEDs. I think, you get briefings from tours before and all the, you see like everything that's happened before. And like you knew the threat of IEDs were a little bit higher over there. And there was an instance before mine, but a couple of weeks before we were driving and the vehicle behind me got hit by an IED. But the way the track was, we were on like the left hand side and the IED was a command wire IED was on the right hand side. And it just sort of really scraped the top of the top cover. And he was fine and it was the vehicle behind me. So you think like this sort of stuff happens, you know what I mean? It was all in the area. You knew the dangers were real and probably more like
I
than
think
Iraq.
I think the scariest part of it, and you'll probably attest to this, is just the fact that it's invisible, isn't it? It's an invisible
Yeah.
threat, and you have literally no control over it. And I
Yeah.
saw you might have watched it or not, I don't know, but a film called The Hurt Locker,
Yeah. Yeah.
and it shows it's obviously the AOD team, I think, over there. I think that's what they play, and it just shows you like um, just how well hidden they are, and it's terrifying to
Yeah.
think that you're going through these places which are known to have these issues and these threats, and it's just a pot luck a lot of the time if you do find them, isn't it? And the fact that we only had Wimics to go out in, to me, was absolute madness looking back on it. And if people don't
Yeah.
know what a Wimic is, essentially it's just a Land Rover,
Yeah.
an
Think of
open
the
top Land
old
Rover.
shit Land Rover with no
Yeah,
roof. Yeah.
an open top Land Rover with the bare minimum type of armor that you can imagine, and we're driving through these these environments with essentially no protection. I think that's fair to say, would you?
Yeah, absolutely. Just like that old Land Rover with just weapons mounted on the top, and even the snatches, they were boxed a bit more, and even those weren't really sufficient in armor. Really, was it?
No,
It protected you, but it wouldn't protect you from much.
no. I mean, I recall quite a few times we'd go out and provide support for convoys of people who'd been hit in tanks, and seeing some of the you know the results of the impact from on these fucking well armored tanks.
Yeah,
It's amazing. It's amazing that we were ever allowed out in them
yeah,
Wimics.
it's nuts, isn't it? Looking back
Yeah,
now, you're like fucking crazy. I think the vehicles are a lot better now, aren't they? Surely. I mean, I
yeah,
don't.
yeah. I don't think they'd. I don't want them still rocking around in Wimics anyway.
But yeah, it was nuts, mate. But then, obviously, as you know, what happened with me. So
Yeah, I was
we
just going
ended
to
up.
say, do you want to talk about that? What you recall from that day? And
Yeah, yeah, absolutely. I remember it was like the routine patrol, the older route, and we were dropping off. I think it was like A&A, no, or it was an Afghan police. We were dropping them off to another flight who were doing like a building search. I don't know if we were QRF that time. I don't know what we were, but anyway, we ended up dropping this Afghan police officer off at this like compound where one of the other flights were doing like a search. And I remember I was the front vehicle, the point vehicle. And again, I was in the Wimic in the commander seat, and I don't know what it was. Like I kept stopping like so much, like that instinct. And I was like, you see, because you're always trained to like look for things that might be off or different, or they might use a marker in a tree to have like an ID, like you know. So I remember seeing like little things, just everything was like I was on edge. I don't know what it was. I can't really describe it. I stopped so much, and probably like Rob Williams or the rest of the guys were like, oh, fucking, he's stopping again. You know what I mean? But I got the lads out, jumped out 5 and 20s. Probably did it more than what other people would probably do it, and I don't know why. I can't remember why. But then we get to this VP, a vulnerable point, and there was a point where you have to go through that little track. So obviously we're told through training that's more dangerous because you got no choice other to go through this road. You can't go over the banks over the side. So we stop, and the lads jump out. I had two lads in front doing the 5 and 20s with the metal detectors, and I was next to the front vehicle, and I took a knee down next to the wheel, just like to take some relief off my back or whatever. I don't know, just took a knee. And then the guy who was driving the vehicle just rolled forward just to keep up with the guys in front who were doing the search, and bang, just like the wheel just hit a pressure plate IED. The vehicle just, massive explosion. I think I got thrown like 20, 25 foot off to the side. The vehicle sort of rolled over onto its roof, the top cover. He just got thrown off, landed like on his ass, stood up and just sparked up a cig. The driver, good, he got trapped inside the vehicle, ended up, trapped his leg. And then, like I said, I got thrown off to the side, and I got like a severe break in the fib, my right leg. Apparently, I think Brownie was one of the first guys over to me. You reckon it was just underneath me? It was like a different direction. My left knee, I got like ACL, and just blast injuries, sort of other places really. And I remember, I don't remember anything from the incident. I remember sort of being there. I remember taking the knee, and then I woke up off to the side. And it turns out later on, like where the explosion came from the side and underneath, like maybe being beside that wheel kind of might have saved me a little bit in terms of like where the blast could have come from. I still got some blast injuries, scarring at the side of my head and that. But where the explosion came up from underneath, my body armor, the big Kevlar plate in the front, it came through and actually hit me in the chin. And I got a scar on the bottom of my chin. But you think if that was like a couple of inches lower, could have hit me straight in the throat. It could have been a totally different story. You know what I mean? I would have just smashed my windpipes in and I wouldn't dead probably. So like that was the first thing, you know what I mean? I was lucky there. I got hit there. I got knocked out. So really, I don't remember it because I got knocked out. And when I woke up, it was weird. I just, like when you hurt yourself, you want to just jump up and just sort of run it off. When you always want to stand up and just sort of shake off whatever's hurt. And I couldn't get up because obviously my leg was twisted up underneath and my knee was done. I thought I dislocated my shoulder, but it turned out I actually broke the head of the humerus. So I guess the vehicle or something hit my shoulder and broke the ball socket in the top of the humerus. So that wasn't too fun. And I remember the guys came over and had like all this blood coming from my head, and like, on paper, you're not allowed to give morphine for a head injury. So I remember we all had to carry our little morphine pocket, and I remember like my left arm was the only arm that was good. I remember feeling like my morphine packet, and I was so close to just giving it to myself because no one else would give it to me because the blood, and they thought, obviously couldn't do it. But yeah, I was obviously in a pretty bad way, so I couldn't have any morphine. So I was pretty much just running on like pain and adrenaline, really. I remember when I first woke up, one of the first things I did, like I said, I thought my right arm was done. I got my left hand and I went down in between my legs, and just to feel, to make sure everything was right down in between my legs. And I was like, wait, I was like, it's a little bit smaller. I was like, what's going on? And then after that, I went from between my legs up to my face. So basically, I went the wrong way around, really. I should have gone face down between, but I went from there to there. You're not really thinking properly. So I would check my face to feel it. And so, yeah, then all the lads came over, and that's when they sort of had to get ready to medevac me out. And we couldn't leave. I think we had a Black Hawk come. I swear it was like a Black Hawk. And they wouldn't leave. I remember getting put on the back of the helo, and I was waiting for Goody to get cut out of the vehicle. They had to cut him out before. They wouldn't take me. They wouldn't come back for him. We had to wait and go together. So there's more time I was sitting there in the back of the helicopter, just waiting and waiting. And I don't know. You can always look at these things, but I think like if I'd got into the surgery quicker, they might have been able to fix my leg a little bit better. Who knows? I don't know. But I remember getting flown back. Well, I don't actually remember getting flown back, but I had Canadians actually operated on my leg. So they like fixed my leg, pinned it and everything. And, they told me from the start that there was always a chance that I could lose my leg. They were like, this has happened. We've done this. We're going to get you back to the UK. And, there's always this chance this could happen. So I remember just I remember being in this room. It was weird. It was like this tiny little room. I remember a couple of people coming to see me and that, and I was out of it, really, obviously. Obviously, I had the medicine or morphine by then. And I remember trying to phone my mum. They gave me a phone, and somehow I just remember using one arm, my left arm, just trying to phone my mum, and like nothing, like she wouldn't answer. Obviously, she'd been told what happened and probably wasn't home. But then I ended up getting flown out of Kandahar. I remember we stopped somewhere on the way, but in the back of, I think it was the Hercules or something. I can't remember exactly what it was. But we ended up, and I landed in Birmingham, and then got flown, ambulance straight off to the Selly Oak, which is the hospital there where the military sort of lads go. And they took me straight into theatre, took me to the operating theatre and took an artery out my arm and put it into my leg to try and keep the blood flow going and stuff. So again, it was told that this could happen, and end up a couple of days later, end up losing my leg.
I was going to say, what was the time frame there from the impact to getting back to the UK?
It was like less than 2 days. It was just under 48 hours, I think, because I remember it happened. I went in, had the operation. I think the next day is when I sort of went out. So it was probably just over 24 hours, maybe like 36 hours. I don't know exactly. It wasn't quite 2 days, but it was quick turnaround.
So what was running through your mind at this point? Obviously the uncertainty of not knowing what's going to happen. How was you kind of processing this?
I mean, at that time, by the time they got the morphine in me, it was. I don't remember much from those. I remember little snippets of things, but like, I don't really, because of the morphine and that, you're sort of sleepy and that. I don't really remember too much. I remember talking to some nurse in Selly Oak, and when they said I was going to lose my leg, and I remember being like, I'm going to be a one-legged stuntman. I was like, I'm just going to be a stuntman. When I get out, I'm going to be a one-legged stuntman. I don't know where it came from. I'm just going on this tangent. And the guy's like, yeah, all right, mate. Yeah, cool. I mean, it's little things. I don't remember much else. I just remember getting and then seeing my family and that, and just, yeah, it was, I think I felt worse for them seeing me like that than I did for myself, Like, I felt bad for putting my mum through me being injured. I remember saying sorry to her. I was like, I'm so sorry. And she was like,
Nice.
Naturally she sees her son all beat up and I'm saying sorry to her. You know what I mean? So yeah, it was
such a strange mindset.
Yeah, I know, mate. It was a weird one. But yeah, then that was it. I was obviously ended up becoming an amputee, right leg below the knee. So then, this fit and healthy guy ends up, being at a young age, losing the leg. So it's tough. And the shoulder and the knee, I had shrapnel inside my thigh, ended up perforating my eardrum. So like every limb pretty much got like just, not destroyed, but scarred in some way,
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, I could never imagine, having to deal with that because, like you say, young lad, fit as anything, happy as Larry most of the time, and you know, you're making that progression up the ranks slowly but surely, and then all of a sudden, it all comes crashing down. A lot to deal with, and on top of the amputation and everything else, I don't know how you stayed, composed, or if you did or whatever. So, how what did the recovery process look like, and what was your support system at that time?
I mean, it was pretty good. Like, I mean, obviously, lads were still in Afghan, but everybody who came back always came to see me. I had like officers come see me. You get these celebrities coming into hospital. I remember, so he's now King Charles, but I remember when he was Prince at the time, he came in to see us. You know what I mean? So you get all these celebrities, and again, it's nice, but like, you don't want to be in the hospital anyway. But as soon as I was well enough, they sort of got me off to Headley Court, which is like the rehab for for military. And I got injured end of October, and I think I was out of there. If it wasn't for the Christmas break, I probably would have been at Headley Court before Christmas, before the end of the year. And this is how quick they get you up. I had a prosthetic, and I was standing by January. So it was only a couple of months, like 2.5 months. I remember standing up, like by 3 months, I was kind of standing up, but my left leg was still done because the ACL, they had to operate and everything. So my left leg had to catch up to my right leg. So I couldn't walk because of my left leg, but I could stand on the right leg, which is weird because obviously you lost it. So you think if anything, that would have been the longer one. So really at that point, you just switch back into like that military. They send you off to Headley Court. It's not strict or anything, but you have like a schedule. So you get there,
Yeah.
you obviously in this, like, it's like a hospital ward still, but you're like, right, 0700, you're having breakfast, like 09, you're in the gym doing this. So it was good to have that structure. And I was going through with lads who have gone through the same thing as me. There was a lot of Marines and paras in there. And I remember, I met Tom Leafway, who's a para. He was a triple amputee, lost both his legs, one of his arms. So I'm there with like one leg missing. I'm looking at him and I'm like, I can look at this guy. He's like, cracking on. Like, I've just lost a leg. It's paper cut, really, in terms of everything else. So you just sort of get on with it, really.
So it gives you kind of comfort and additional support that being in that the similar people with similar issues kind of just
Yeah,
drives you through it, and the structure helps as well. At
yeah,
that point, had you kind of come to terms with what had happened with you, or still processing it, still in
yeah. I
shock?
think I come to terms with it because like in training, they tell you about the ID threat and this can happen. So when it happens, you're not like, oh wow, no one told me about this. You know what I mean? You
Yeah,
knew there's always a threat, so it could happen. It's fucking sucked that it happened to me, but it happened. And luckily, like no one died in that blast. So really, I was the worst injured. Goody ended up losing his leg. I think like a year later, he had his ankle fused, went for elective amputation. So really, like no one died. So like I looked at it in that sense that it was
mm,
good. But you just sort of get on with it, and just again, you're in with other lads, and you just get given like a new leg, and you have to just change your way of life, and you're going in a new direction and learning how to walk again, or how to walk stairs again, or walk downstairs again, and stuff like that. So just like, and I think being younger, and healthy and fit as well, that helps because obviously the recovery is probably quicker than it would be if you weren't like in a good like
yeah,
fitness.
yeah.
But yeah, it was good. And again, like Headley Court was great, mate. I mean, I enjoyed being with other branches. Like I got, the regiment always gets a little bit of flack, for we all know the reason why from that video, really. But yeah, it was good. I remember we played this thing called Timmy tennis. So it's basically a bunch of like amputees all on the floor playing like tennis, but it was like volleyball tennis. But we're like Timmy from South Park. So every time we're hitting the ball, we're like Timmy. It's like a guy with
Oh,
one arm, just like this. But it was a fun time, mate. It was like literally a bunch of just disabled people all on the floor playing tennis, just shouting Timmy, like Timmy from South Park. So little things like that, mate. Just the banter and that is good. It's good, mate. You
yeah,
got you through for sure.
helped you through it. So, obviously, you're on that long road to recovery. What I don't suppose there ever is a proper recovery, but at what point did you feel comfortable enough to kind of return back to some level of duty, and what did that look like for you?
Yeah, I mean, they told me when I had to go back, sort of thing. Obviously, once you're Headley Court, you sort of go in blocks. So you go to Headley Court for like a 4-week block or a 6-week block. You come home. So you sort of back and forth, back and forth. And then eventually they're like, right, there's nothing else we can do for you here. You get put back to your med center at Honington. So I ended up going back to the squadron. And I don't know, it was a weird one. It was because obviously things have changed. Like people were leaving, there was different officers and that. And you're kind of like, I wouldn't say I was like not welcomed, but you come in and it's just different because now they've got to try and find something for you to do. And I remember going on to the training, like um, on the training section part of the squadron, and like going through all these the booklets, you know, the weapons booklets and all this stuff, and had to change all the old ones, like all this like tedious shit. And I'm like, this is unbelievable. Like it sucks really. And then like you lads, or you know, were getting ready to go on to another tour, or they were doing other things, and it didn't felt like I sort of belonged there at that time. It was weird. And there was a flight sergeant, I remember, because when you're going through like, you know, the hospital stuff and that, you've got these different charities and they want to get you out and they want to take you into these different like trips and all these different things. So I'd sign up for everything and I'd be trying, you know, I mean, I've got a couple of trips to America and that's how I ended up sort of moving over here through one of those trips. And I remember this flight sergeant, he was an absolute dick. He looked at me, he was like, I said something. I was going away because I tried to do a little bit of skiing. I started doing some skiing like a few months, like you know, a year or so later. And it was like combined service disabled ski team, and it was awesome. I loved it. I went away and I was learning how to ski disabled, and like I could have stayed and done that a bit more. But then this flight sergeant was like, "Oh yeah, I want you to look at your, like, tell me what to do for the week or whatever." And he was like, "Yeah, I want you to look at your paycheck and think you've earned that." And I was like, "What the fuck's he on about?" And like, there was an officer who heard it, and I think he had a word of him afterwards, being like, you know, I'm not some biff who just like hurt a toe or something or hurt a back. Like I've literally like got a leg missing, and he's telling me like I need to earn my work, my keep, my pay, and I'm like, what the fuck are you on about, man? And then eventually it rolled in when I got medically discharged. I went through, and you know, they offered me. They said I could retrade and stay in the RAF. I was like, I just want to get out by that time. I remember when I left, I went to the new squadron leader, and I went in the office, you know, saluted and everything, and he was just like, "Yeah, thanks, thanks for your service." And I was just like, "Wow, that was it." Like, I wasn't expecting a massive fanfare or any like, you know, but lads would get like little trizits or whatever, you know, like things when they left, and I was like, nothing, literally just like a pat on the back and just like, "See you later." And I was like, that really fucking annoyed me a bit. The fact that like, you know, how I got injured and why, you know, and stuff like that. There's just nothing happened. It was just like, see you later. And then even after I left, like I'd never heard from anyone like of any seniority through the regiment. It was just like, you're done. I'm like, thanks. So that was hard to take at first, but then you're like, fuck, I'm happy about now.
Yeah, it's such a weird thing, isn't it? Like you said, I didn't expect any big ceremony or anything like that, but it's just the fact
Yeah,
that it's just done with such a like whimper. But
yeah,
I mean, especially in your circumstance, because you went through a hell of a lot more difficulty than what I did. But you just think like, well, what have I done that for? Where's the recognition?
yeah,
Like, where's not even a thank you or anything? It's just bizarre.
yeah,
Like because you think even in like any job you go through in Civvy Street, you'll have like a little meeting with all the team and have like a night out or something, and there's just nothing. It's just a
yeah,
peculiar thing because it's such a close bond with everyone. And
yeah.
granted, yeah,
It's weird.
the seniors are a bit, out of the way, but corporals and whatnot, and yeah, I struggled with that for a while, and I kind of just thought, if you can't be arsed with me, well, I can't be arsed with you.
Yeah, yeah, and like I said, like everything changed. Like there was new lads in, new officers. Like everything kind of the rotation had changed, so it wasn't quite the same. I don't think I really would have ever stayed if I could have. But yeah, again, mate, it was, and I got lucky. I'm lucky. I mean, I'm lucky I survived. You know, I'm lucky I get a pension to compensate for the injuries, and I got obviously payments for my injuries. So like, you know, I'm definitely. You always hear about the bad stories about people not getting looked after, but you know, they looked after me. And when I got discharged, they paid for me to go to university. So I ended up going like getting out and then going to school for like 3 years and getting a degree. So it wasn't too bad. And on one of these trips that I mentioned, it was with BLESMA, which is British Limbless Ex-Servicemen's Association. It was BLESMA and Wounded Warrior Project. So it was like a combined UK USA, like, you know, disabled veterans trip, and it was over here in New York. And I came over, and that's when like I met my missus, sort of thing. So like my transition of getting out and going to school was when I was with my now wife. You know what I mean? We were dating and sort of doing the whole like long distance relationship thing. So really, in a way, it kind of it sort of fell at the right time, sort of thing. So it worked out well for me in the end.
Yes, yeah. So you had a good level of support, and like you say, you had a kind of path once you'd left, which, like you said, a lot of people don't have that. I kind of drifted for a while, and to be fair, like I never expected much. I didn't really want anything, but at the same time, I thought it might have helped, further down the line, just to kind of give myself a bit of support or give me some sort of support where I felt like I didn't have any. But like you had a different experience in that sense, and you made the most of it, which is really good to hear. Is there anything you miss in particular from when you did leave?
I think you guys touched on another podcast, but just the camaraderie. You know what I mean? The lads, just like you're living in the block and you know the guy next door. You know what I mean? Just like everyone, you just walk through and you just see lads, and you're going through, just going to work with your friends at the end of the day. Like I love doing what I do now, but like I enjoyed like seeing the lads going out for a beer at the weekends or even the night times and that. Just little things like that. I think it was just that sort of day to day life with the lads, just
Yeah,
like best mates, really.
Yeah, it's definitely the same for me, I think. And it can't be replicated, can it? It genuinely can't. Like
No,
I struggled for a while to kind of come to terms with that. Not just having people to bounce off. And yes, I did take myself away for reasons I've touched on, but that isolation, like it really affected me for quite a while, and I didn't really know, because it's not just having people around. It's like the kind of stuff that you talk about, and stuff that we talk about you wouldn't get away with in like normal workplaces, and just
yeah.
trying to navigate all that kind of thing was just a bit of a struggle. But without a shadow of a doubt, like the camaraderie is, and I think most people would say the same. When it's the biggest part of it, I think, for most people.
Yeah, definitely, mate. And I keep in touch with a handful of guys, and I see them if I go back to the UK. When I go back, I always try to like see, yeah, if I can. And sometimes, like, I had like Barton came over to New York with his missus last year. We met up for a day in New York. It was great because like I felt like I hadn't not seen him for like 10 years. You know what I mean? It was great. We just slipped back in, just the laughter, the jokes, and that. It was good. That's what I missed. But there's a handful of guys that I keep in touch with, and obviously you're one of them as well in the group chat and on WhatsApp. So
Yeah,
hopefully that comes up. I want to get on that trip soon, so we'll try and work that out. But
yeah, get it sorted. All right. So you mentioned about the courses that you did and things that you looked into once you left. Where's that taking you now? Where are you now, and what are you up to these days?
yeah, so I ended up doing a degree like sports health and exercise, and through like as I was getting out, one of the guys I was in Headley Court with, he's a double amputee, a Marine, Bish, and I saw him playing golf. There's a picture of him like in a sand trap in a bunker, and he's like one leg out, one leg in, like being an amputee. It looked awesome. Like he was playing, and I was like, that's pretty cool. So I texted, I messaged him. I was like, what's this? Like, what's the charity? And there's a thing called the On-Course Foundation, and basically they have the On-Course Foundation USA and the On-Course Foundation UK. So I got involved in golf really, and I never really had an interest. And like I said, I saw my mate playing golf, and I was like, I want to try it. So I went off and done like a 3-day course, and so just sort of learned golf really, and I loved it. I just picked up golf. I wasn't good. I'm still not good, but like I enjoyed it. And what the charity's mission is to get veterans out on the golf course playing with other veterans or other people. And if you're interested, is working in golf. So I ended up sort of pursuing a career in golf, and I moved over to the USA. Well, I got married. It was like 10 years ago now. So I moved over here, and the USA On Course Foundation helped me get jobs. Like the first job I had over here, I was doing scoring for like golf tournaments. So it was like charity events, but they would be all over America. I'd go to like the West Coast, I'd go like Florida, Texas, like Chicago, all over. I was seeing America like golf course at a time. It was wicked, man. I was like, I'm getting paid for this. It's nuts. And then so eventually they have the thing, like the Ryder Cup, the obviously USA. So the On Course Foundation has this thing called the Simpson Cup. So the founder, John Simpson, they have like a UK versus USA Ryder Cup style format, like injured veterans from each side. They play every year. And then they were playing just down the road from me here, in a place called Boltshall at Springfield. And then it's a pretty prestigious club. It's a private club. They played there. I ended up going to see the guys, got introduced to the director of golf. Long story short, I ended up working there like 3 years ago. And then this year or last year, I got promotion to the director of outside ops. So basically now I just run the outside operations. Like you know, members come up and they want to go out and play golf. We orchestrate the place. We have two courses. You have to send them off in different directions, and we just all the outside up stuff. So it's pretty fun. And we have caddies. So I have to work with the caddies. So basically, it's like kind of like that military life thing back again. Like I have guys I work with, and then I have the caddies who are like I have to sort of help manage in that as well. So it's fun. It's sort of it's like a it's good. It's close to being to the military without, you know what I mean? Because you've got so many different characters in that caddy yard, and like it's fun talking to them. You have like senior guys who have been there for like 40 years. You have guys who have been there for like 6 months. You know what I mean? So you've got all these different personalities and that. So like that's as close as I could be to the military now, but in working still at a golf course. So it's pretty good, mate. I enjoy it, and I get to play golf every now and again. So it's always fun.
It sounds incredible, to be fair. I mean, I'm glad you found something that you really enjoy. And to be fair, I think most people would enjoy that. Just going back to
Yeah,
the
it's good.
Simpson Cup, is it as heated a rivalry as the Ryder Cup?
It does
I
get
could,
pretty heated. I mean, at the beginning, everyone's like best friends. During the 2 day tournament, like there's a little bit of like snapping, a little bit of tension, and then afterwards, everyone just has a beer and gets on with it. It's good.
yeah,
And like my goal is I want to try and make a Simpson Cup team. But like I said, the charity is great. It's called the On-Course Foundation. And like if anyone's listening and wants to get into golf, you don't have to have like an injury. You know what I mean? Like PTSD, an injury. Like it's just a way of getting veterans back in to play golf. And they do in the UK. They have like stuff all over, like 3 day little courses. So we just learn the basics of golf. And over here, obviously in the USA as well, they have stuff for veterans and that as well. And it's good because we meet up. You have these different courses and even meeting the Americans. I mean, they're obviously a little bit different, you know what I mean? But like, it's good meeting them and like hearing their stories and like some of the stuff they've gone through. And like, I mean, it's just great to have like that bond and that, camaraderie again. You can meet these guys and they're friends for life, and
yeah.
you get to play golf at the same time. It's just great.
That mutual understanding, like I say, it helps in so many aspects, doesn't it? It really does. No, I'm quite envious of that, actually. It sounds like a hell of a job, to be fair.
Yeah, it's
What
good, mate.
kind of level is it then? Like what, you talk about anyone being able to do it. I take it this Simpson Cup is quite a high level.
Yeah, you have to qualify for it. You have to have like a handicap of like 15 or better to qualify. Then you have to go to the qualifiers in the UK, and then you get through that. You go to the finals, and the same over here. You have to qualify for it, but there are like captains picks as well. So it's kind of similar to the actual Ryder Cup, but like you have to qualify, and then there's a couple of captains picks or founders picks as well. So that's what I'm hoping my backdoor entry is to the captains pick. But then like everyone was like, "Are you going to come play for the USA?" And I'm like, "I can't play for the USA." I was like, "I lost my leg for my country. I can't. I live here, and I've got two kids, obviously who are American, but I can't be a turncoat and go and play for the USA. So I need to qualify for the UK team."
I was going to lead to that. Who are you going for?
I mean, like I said before, mate, I've got friends on both sides and good golfers. I mean, like some people like scratch golfers, like zero handicap and that, great guys, and they're they're both great. I mean, both sides, but I mean, I have to be UK Team GB
Yeah,
or whatever, so I have to
yeah,
be.
absolutely, absolutely. So, going back to your time in the military then and the transition to civil life, what traits have you taken and are still with you from that, and how has the time in the force? I know you say you work with a lot of people who are ex-military as well, but how has that helped you in your everyday life now?
I think now sort of like the integrity, you know what I mean, taking that into the job and like having the organization skills, like especially what I'm doing now, it's just that sort of just being organized, integrity, honesty. You know what I mean, like getting these guys to work. Like it's tough nowadays. The youth nowadays are hard to get them to work, but we just try and like build that bond with the guys really. And again with the caddies, obviously it's a tough crowd, but I think having that military experience and just being honest and open with them, it just definitely helps. So yeah, I don't know, and yeah, that's probably about it, really, mate. I
No,
don't really think of,
yeah, no,
yeah.
that's fine. That's fine. I mean, like I say, there's a lot of things that you do take in there, but like, do you ever just going off track a little bit? Like, obviously, I know what happened to you is like life changing and really really hard to deal with. Do you ever look back at it? Obviously, with what you're doing now, and what a lovely life you seem to lead. Do you ever look back and think, you know, I don't know if this is the right wording, but you're kind of happy the way that things played out?
Yeah, no, I know what you mean. I mean, don't get me wrong.
It's
I
yeah, I
wouldn't
struggle to word
change.
that.
Yeah, I wouldn't change anything that happened, even though I lost my leg. Obviously, that's like it sucks. But you just learn to live life in a different way with the injuries that I have. And I think the hardest thing for me now is like I've got a daughter. She's 7, so now she's getting into like throwing sports and stuff. And because of my shoulder, I can't throw things like and stuff. So like I can't do certain things with my kids. So I think now that really this is when it hits home now when my kid, like my boy's 3, so he's going to be at an age soon where you want to throw like an American football with him because that's the American thing to do. But like
Did
I
they
can't do it.
yeah, sorry to interrupt. Did they ever ask, especially a 7-year old, did they ever, do you have you explained what's happened to you, and did they have any understanding? Obviously 3-year-old probably won't, but
Yeah, now he don't know what day it is, so he's fine. But yeah, no, my daughter, I've told her like she knows Daddy was in the war, sort of thing. I don't go into detail, obviously. She knows why I've got a missing leg, and and I think, like I said though, now it's harder in some things when I can't do something with my kids. But it's not that I can't, I just haven't found a way how to do it yet. You know what I mean? So again, that mindset, you have to just change it a little bit and be like, right, I haven't found a way how to do it yet. But I will find a way to do it. I just got to do it my way, not like how everyone else would do it. So
yeah, just figure out what's best for you and how to tackle it.
yeah.
But again, it's
And
just another thing you have to navigate, isn't it? But like, if
yeah,
you can get through the amount of shit that you got through, I'm sure throwing a ball
exactly. Yeah. I mean,
will
like I
happen.
said, mate, I got lucky, obviously, what happened to me, it sucked, but like I got lucky. It could have been a lot worse and all those different things that happened in Iraq. You know what I mean? I could have been in a different place at a different time. So like, I think I've got to count my blessings like a cat, I've got some lucky, some lives have just been struck off a little bit, but we're
Yeah,
good, mate. We're getting through. We're just, and again, it sucks some days, but you just get on with it.
yeah. Like I say, I think you've got moments in your life which you've touched on that you can think, do you know what? Where I am now, it's actually a blessing I'm here. But like you say, the close calls that you had, the bullet overhead, the
Yeah,
chest plate smashing there and not your jugular, and just little moments like that lead you to where you are. And like you
yeah.
say, count every day as a blessing.
And
Um,
it's definitely, mate. It's a bit cheesy, but sometimes when I'm playing golf, I'm walking down the fairway, and you get frustrated with golf. You know what I mean? Obviously, golf's fucking hard. It's hard
yeah,
with 2 legs, let alone with one. And then you're like, you know what? I'm happy just to be walking down here, just to be walking and talking and playing golf or trying to play golf. So you just sometimes you just got to look and just look at the bigger picture, really.
yeah, yeah. I mean, I think that comes as well when you get a bit older. You kind of have a better outlook on things, and you do see the bigger picture, and where you could have been, where you are, and things like that. All it becomes a bit clearer in your mind, doesn't it? And
Yeah, mate,
where
absolutely.
you are now, like you say, beautiful family, beautiful career. You're generally happy. It's good to hear. And just a couple of light-hearted things. And so, what do you miss most about the UK? Then, obviously, you get over when you can, but what are the things that you do miss most?
Uh, I probably miss the banter, mate. Like trying to have like a laugh with the Americans, they just don't get it. I'll say something at work, and I'm like, I think it's funny. Maybe I'm just not funny, but then I'm like, oh, that was wasted. I was like, back home, people would laugh at that. A good roast as well. I do miss a good roast, and a pub as well. Like they have bars over here, but it's not the same. Like you go down your local pub, and you'd be like, you'd know somewhere there, or you just go down and read the paper and just have a beer. You know what I mean? Like here, it's not quite the same. That sort of social aspect, but I mean, generally, life's pretty similar. I try to go home a couple of times a year, see the family, and that people come here and see me. But yeah, probably just a good roast and a good laugh, really, mate. But
Yeah,
again, to keeping in touch with you boys, um, and that it definitely helps. You know what I mean? So even just sending text messages in that group or whatever, it's just just take the piss out of each other. It's fun.
yeah, yeah. Yeah, it definitely helps, doesn't it? Stuff like that. Keep you grounded, keep you close to home in a sense. I think that's. I think we're quite lucky in a way because we have that now. Like we have that easy communication, whereas never used to be around, did it, back in the day? So I think
Yeah.
older veterans probably struggle a lot more to stay in touch than what we would. But yeah, so you touched on it earlier about Team UK against Team USA or Team Europe, whatever. World Cup coming up next
Oh
year.
yeah, yeah, yeah. So yeah, that's on my doorstep actually. So the
Yeah,
finals is at MetLife Stadium. It's like 30 minutes down the road from me. So
is it
I'm gonna
really?
try.
Is
Yeah,
that
the
how close
final
you
is.
are to it?
Yeah, I'm like 30 minutes down the road, mate.
So
I'm
who are you
trying to get
rooting for
tickets.
then? Who are you rooting
I
for
mean,
if England come across US?
I mean, it's England all day, mate, all
Yes.
day. Yeah,
I'm
yeah, of
glad you said
course.
that. I'm glad you said that because I remember back in the day when I think we went out against Portugal in the Euros, and there was about 20 of us all crying around in Bury St Edmunds. So I'm glad you've not lost that connection.
Yeah, nah, I wouldn't do that, mate. Yeah, nah, definitely.
No.
So, I mean, like I said, I'm gonna try and get to a couple of games, but it's hard. Everybody wants to go, so
Yeah,
we'll try.
yeah. Do you find the growth? Have you noticed the growth over there? It's massive, isn't it?
I think so, yeah, for sure. Even in the 10 years I've been here, like the TV apps, you can watch like every single game now, which is good. But then you get like the shows and like even like fantasy leagues and a lot of people, like I said, I pop into the city to go watch Tottenham, and it's a Spurs bar. But like you can only be a Spurs fan to go in there to watch it. They won't let anyone else go in there and watch it. So you're in there and you got expats, you got Americans, you got English people in there. It's great, mate. You have a sing song. It's definitely getting bigger for sure. And I think, you'll see it as well with probably the US national team eventually getting better because
Yeah,
like school kids are playing it, whereas 20 years ago they probably weren't.
yeah. No, I mean you can see that in the leagues, can't you, and stuff. But no, it's something to look forward to. That I mean, I wish I was over there, to experience it because we've not had a World Cup here, have we? It's fucking no
No.
chance either. But no, I mean we'll wrap it up. Just have one more question. If anything you'd like to add or say to anyone, or have you got anyone? I asked this to James, I think, last week. Is there anyone who you've kind of lost touch with that you maybe remember fondly and would like to get back in touch with?
I mean, like I said, I've got you boys I speak a lot to, but there's probably, I remember Simpson, Elliot Simpson. Remember Sibbo? Like I got on with it so well with him. Like we like slept in the same sort of area, like in basics, and went squadron together. He just disappeared. I don't know what happened to him. It'd be nice to say hello one day. I don't know if anyone's in touch with him, but no, I mean, look, I speak to the guys, and I think as well, like if you were to see someone you hadn't seen in 10 years, again, you just pick up where you left off. You don't necessarily need to be in touch with them. You'll just see them, and then it's like nothing ever, happens. You just pick up where you left off. So,
Yeah,
but
that's the beauty of it because yeah, like, I've been through that. I've been through that with the majority of people from my time. Like I spoke with him last week, and it had like no time had passed and stuff. And yeah, it's a weird bond we've got, but brotherhood I'd call it.
yeah, exactly, mate, exactly. And I'm looking forward to hopefully seeing you boys soon and that. And it's been great listening to you on this podcast, mate. And I hope, I think it's going to gain a bit more traction, even if at the start it's just us boys, it will grow into something a bit bigger and that. So I think it's good. It's good hearing like Stino's laugh.
Yeah,
You hear it, and I'm like, oh my God. I lived next door from him for a bit in the block. And I remember hearing his laugh on the podcast, and I was like, mate, I love that guy. He's hilarious. And Woodsy
yeah,
as well, what I mean, going through basics with him and that. And you boys, it's good. It's good listening to the stories. I've been putting the podcast on at work because we're a bit slow right now, obviously being winter time. So I'll stick the headphones in and just do some background stuff and have you boys talking to that. It's good. It's been good catching up.
yeah. I appreciate you listening. I appreciate your time. Like I say, I know it's a bit later in the day now for you, but still an
Yeah.
early one. So I do appreciate you making the
Yeah.
effort. Yeah, carry on listening, mate. I'm trying to get as many people on as I can. Hopefully, like you say, grow it, get different people from different services in, and yeah, see where it takes us. It might fall flat in a week or two. Who knows? But play it by ear. I'm
Yeah,
hoping it's
mate.
helped people, and it's always good to talk in it. So yeah,
Yeah, it's helped
appreciate
me.
it.
It's helped me for sure. Like, so I know it's going to help other people, mate, for sure. So
Good,
it's been good,
good.
mate. I mean, I enjoyed coming on. I was going to come on, and obviously I came on a little bit sooner than expected, but it's good, mate. I mean, I'm glad I did.
All right. Well, thank you. Cheers, mate. Enjoy the rest of your weekend.
Yeah, I'm
If
actually
you,
going to go to work in a bit, mate.
oh
Unfortunately,
yeah,
being the weekend, this golf's a
a busy
weekend kind of
time.
sport. But I mean, it's a bit cold out here at the moment, so I won't see many people. But I've got to show my face for a couple of hours. But,
Right.
all
Okay,
right, mate.
mate. Right. I'll leave you to it then. Take
All right,
care, mate.
perfect.
Okay. We'll speak soon.
All right, cheers, mate. Bye bye.
Take care. Bye. Bye.